Hello, welcome back to the tree brainstorming sessions. So, we are on video 5. So, I feel like this has been really interesting, this process. Starting with video 1, just kind of getting into the idea of these geodesic shapes in trees, looking at geodesic spheres and zomes, and then honing in on the very basic geodesic sphere of the equilateral triangles, and starting with nothing really, and then getting the model of the sphere, the model of the actual tree attachment bolt hardware, and actually seeing that in the tree, and then continuing to roll through this. And I feel like this is helping me feel like I'm out there putting it in the tree and building and seeing where I'll run into issues and things I need to consider. And then it's also giving me the ability to kind of brainstorm and open up in kind of different tangents and different directions. So each of the videos of these last 4 videos have kind of done that. They've helped me see this a little bit clearer. And I feel like at this point in video 5, with this basic design, I'm pretty happy with the general idea and I think I don't need to really beat this into the ground any further. I think it's sound enough, and then I can really hash out all those little details when I'm really, really ready. But this, I feel like the general gist, I really enjoy this. So I ended up removing the eaves just to get the kind of look, because I think the eaves kind of make it turn into like a little gazebo or whatnot. And there's something about seeing this complete shape without it being chopped up. So I'll have to think about other kind of more aesthetic stuff with this and how I want to approach it. I ended up playing with this attachment on the inside, trying to I was just laying down last night thinking about this, how to make this as simple as possible. And structurally, I don't know if this is going to be sound enough. I'll have to look. But I just wanted to model something to get in there to get the idea across of what I'm thinking. And it just kind of hit me while I was laying in bed that there's a bolt that's going to go through all these pieces of conduit that are going to be smashed in the top. There's going to be a bolt. So it's like, man, if I could just stick that bolt right through something, it would be easy. And when I did that, the conduit ended up running into like the tab here in the hardware, and it didn't leave room on the end to be able to attach like a strut or be able to attach a cable. This was kind of sticking out past the conduit, past like the roof line. So I had to raise it up to get clearance to be able to work with the end of the tab to attach the strut piece and all that. So that's kind of how it ended up like that. So it started out with the idea of just being able to use the bolt that's already going to be there, and then having to raise it a little bit. But essentially it would be a little bit beefier bolt, and it would go all the way through and then have a nut on the bottom. So that's the gist of this. And I kind of like it. It keeps all the hardware like internally inside the structure, so it's out of like the weather and whatnot. It seems like this should do the trick. And then here we'll have a cable, and then on the top we'll have a strut. And I think that'll be plenty strong enough for this. And then and some other ideas I'm considering. I was thinking about how this roof is going to cut in around the tree, and I have a couple ideas. I don't know that it's I'll have to see how that's going to go. But if this is going to be not just for like camping and whatnot, if it's going to be an enclosed structure, I'll probably have to continue and create like a wall or contained area around the tree from top to bottom, so the water can just go straight through and the tree isn't inside the structure. So there'll be like a column or cylinder around the tree that lets all the water just pass through. That way the structure can be watertight. That's the only major thing. For the floor, I was considering each of these points is going to have a bolt, right? So there'll be a bolt sticking through this into the structure, a bolt from here facing in the structure, a bolt here facing in towards the tree. All these points will have bolts facing in towards the tree. So those are places I can bolt the steel tube onto, or some kind of wooden beam if I want to go that route. So I can use these to be able to build off of and build a solid floor of some sort. And then again, it's just going to depend on the use and how sturdy and like complex it needs to be, whether it's just a platform as an outlook, or it's just for camping, or it's literally just a structure to pass from one tree house to another, and it could just be like a net floor and net walls. So I think this offers a lot of versatility because of the geodesic shape being very rigid and strong. We can build off of it. So once we can get it in the tree and we have this shape, we can kind of really have some fun with it. I think that was the main goal, was to be able to get these rigid geometric shapes up in the trees and then be able to work with them from there. I think this opens up a lot of potential. I did shrink the tree down, so Pete Neslin said not to work with anything less than like 8 inches, and so this is exactly 8. And I dropped the hardware down from standard limb hardware, the kind of medium tier hardware, to the Treefort hardware, because I'm trying to just I want to go as light and as simple and small as possible, and then go up from there. And I think that using the Treefort hardware and the smaller tree, and then building this one as like light but strong, and kind of seeing how far I can really kind of push this lightweight, simple one. And it's really efficient because because all the struts, you can get 2 struts out of every 10-foot metal conduit. So then this becomes pretty efficient to build. I'm hoping I can come up with something even simpler than this, and I'm not going to have to do any kind of custom machining and welding and stuff, but if I have to, I have to. Well, I'll probably, with this lightweight, simpler one, be able to come up with something that accomplishes this, that's like kind of off the shelf with a little bit of like drilling and stuff, I feel like. But we'll see. I'll probably need some kind of spacer pipe to hold this space in place, however far I want to have it off the tree. You can adjust the distance to the tree. I figure the further out, the more growth the tree can have, and I'm gonna have the strut anyway. So, and I can't remember the exact weight that this can hold. Do I have that? I have this book, this Treehouse, the instructional guide, and it does have the capacities in here. Let me see if I can find them real quick. This book is amazing, by the way. It kind of just puts everything. You don't have to go hunting to try and find all the basic things about building a treehouse and all the hardware and stuff. It's just kind of a good go-to spot. I feel like you could find probably most of this online and on their website, but this is super handy. All right, so we're looking at Treefort tab. It's not. This isn't super precise, but okay, it says like it's maybe like 2,000 to 4,000 pounds with the cable. You're looking at 3,000 to 8,000 pounds. The cable and strut. 6,000 pounds. 6,000 to 16,000. Or something along those lines. This chart isn't super precise. There's more precise data on their website. So I can go. I think if you go actually to the Treefort tab hardware on their site, it has like a more specific range and chart. But so that's that. This the growth rate. So I went back and forth with the size gap that I wanted to leave here, and then it got me thinking about like the growth rate of the trees, and that's just another thing that you gotta consider. His rule of thumb was something like you trim the deck around 2 inches from the tree. You don't build a wall of the actual structure closer than 12 inches from the tree. So I had those in mind, but then I started digging in. A lot of the trees that I have that are smaller, that are really perfectly straight trees, are the I think it's yellow tulip poplar trees. And when you're looking at how much they grow per year, there's this thing that's called the tree growth rate factor here, and all you have to do, this is a way to figure out their age, and by having this growth rate, you can get a sense of like how fast it's going to grow each year. So let's see, the tulip poplar tree is a growth factor of 3. So every 3 years, it's going to grow an inch roughly. This made me realize like that this particular tree grows pretty fast in its width. But here's the instructions and formula. If you are curious about the age of a tree, you can take a measurement of the circumference around it, right about your chest height, and then kind of calculate with that growth factor, figure out your age. But so with this growing 3 inches or an inch every 3 years, I think I was looking at it and I've got roughly, if I'm using like the smallest 8-inch tree, like 15 years before I'm going to have to start kind of looking at things. That's 15 years for the edge of the tree to reach the here. I think is what I calculated. But yeah, this is another thing that now I need to think about a lot more carefully. I think with this little kind of Treefort, smaller, lightweight, kind of easily disassembled and assembled tree house thing, it's not as big a deal. But I think with my goals of building some of these a lot bigger structures, I would like to build them so that I don't have to touch them for 100 years. I'd like them to be able to last in that tree and not have to think about rearranging structural components of the tree house in these bigger ones. So I just feel like that's something you got to consider and that we'll have to keep in mind moving forward. And I might hash out a little bit further on this to try and get as much space as I can for the growth. But I think 15 years for kind of a playhouse with like netting or just a place to connect bridges between different tree houses is probably fine. And I don't think it's anything extreme to get this modified. It would just be cutting the roof back a little bit and doing a little patching and things. So it wouldn't be a huge deal. But yeah, this has been fun. I feel like this is exactly what I was hoping to be able to kind of hash out, getting these geometric shapes in the trees and running into issues and ideas and concepts along the way and finding some really neat tangents to run on and think about, like the Charlie's webs, those tree nets, and some of the other things that I was able to share in these previous brainstorming videos. And Yeah. So I feel like I'm happy with this one. I'm going to probably let this be. It's already been midnight and I got to hit the road early and I'm heading back to the mountains. So I won't be on my computer playing with these as much. I'm going to be really, really focusing on building and getting stuff done on the property for a while, I feel like. But I just had this perfect moment to get on the computer and play in here. And all my Treehouse books, all of the Pete Nelson Treehouse Master guy, all his books from over the years, have come in and I've had a chance to start looking through those and did some highlighting, and that just really opened up things for me. I feel like they just seeing so many different tree houses approached in so many different ways, and some of his stories. Some of the books have really amazing stories of the people and the process of building it and all that kind of stuff, which is really inspiring. But yeah, so I will be back at the property tomorrow, and I'll be sharing a lot more of videos of me actually working the property. Hopefully I will have a chance to have a break and go hiking and find the little tree that I want to build this little guy in, and I can throw something up in the trees. I'm getting very anxious to build something in the trees, but I just have so much work to do on the property. There's just so much little things to get done. With only being about 2.5 to 3 months in this season, it's been nonstop trying to expand and fine tune the Airbnbs and the glamping and get the Airstream fixed up and get that available for guests. And yeah, we're just dealing with nature and life. But I'm looking forward to getting back there and continuing to build this dream and see all this start to come to life. So hopefully you'll tag along. All right. See you all. Bye.